fourth framework in this book is the 4 levels of intelligence, otherwise known as the stupid, dumb, smart, genius framework. Let's talk a little bit about intelligence, because genius solutions are becoming the norm, and every time a new technology enters somebody's world, it resets their expectations. My own expectations have changed dramatically. I close all of my books for Stone Mantle now using Claude. It's not necessarily that Claude does it better than my accountant, but I can do things I never could before. What we're seeing is that consumers are starting to distinguish between different types of solutions. Some solutions carry no context whatsoever. I buy a hammer a nail, it gets the job done. I don't need it to remember anything about me. Nothing wrong with that. That's dumb, and I don't mean that as an insult. As soon as you start to introduce intelligence, people start to distinguish between dumb solutions and smart solutions. A smart solution responds to your input, learns your preferences, gets better over time. We're used to that now. Nobody buys a thermostat today that isn't smart in some way, shape, or form. Where we're headed, and this is what we predicted back in 2017 when we first started mapping out levels of intelligence, is that consumers are starting to understand what genius looks like. A genius solution truly understands context and can anticipate the need. And that changes everything. Your business model, whether people are willing to pay you, how they're willing to pay you. A smart solution almost always comes with a subscription. Nobody blinks an eye at that anymore. A genius solution, people won't blink an eye at a subscription either, but they'll expect to pay for tokens, for outcomes. The business model is going to be different. So for example, let's take a pair of glasses. Now, for 750 years, glasses have done one thing: correct vision. It was that one job to get done. Then we started adding things to glasses: audio controls, voice controls, hearing aids that made those glasses smart. In 2013, you might remember that Google introduced Google Glass, and the response from consumers was rejection. They hated Google Glass. Why? Because it collected all of this data, all of this contextual data, which was then used for surveillance, for serving up ads, for doing things that were considered by the customer to be stupid. And that's the big difference between stupid and dumb. Stupid is working against the customer. There's contextual data, but it's working against the customer. Now, recently, Ray-Ban introduced Ray-Ban Meta glasses. One hopes that they will eventually become genius glasses that will support the customer the way the customer wants to be supported. But the important thing is that within one product category, all 4 levels of intelligent experiences are demonstrated. So let's go a little bit deeper into these different categories because they're going to matter going forward. Level 1, stupid. It's intelligence aimed the wrong way. Stupid is adversarially intelligent. It's not that there isn't any intelligence, it's that the intelligence was built for the company, not for the customer. It's built to sell the customer more, to push them towards something they didn't actually want. The customer shares their data hoping for a better experience, and what they get back is a pile of ads, right? That's what we mean by stupid. It's interesting that 71% of retailers believe they excel at personalization, while only 34% of their customers agree. That's because a lot of personalization technology is actually stupid. Level 2, dumb. Dumb simply means there is no context. Think about the resurgence of vinyl records. There's something beautiful about playing a record player. Nobody expects it to learn about them, and that's perfectly fine. You can build a whole niche and still stay dumb. The test is simple. Does the intelligence make the product better for the person buying? If the intelligence only serves your data strategy and not the customer's daily life, stay dumb and be honest about it. The back office can be as intelligent as you want it to be. The experience doesn't have to be. Level 3, smart. Smart is not the same as genius. Smart responds to inputs. It learns your histories. This is what most personalization tools do today. They're essentially running Bayesian algorithms that allow them to look back at your past preferences, what you chose, and then try to predict what you will want next based on your preferences. What SMART can't do is see what's actually going on in a specific situation. So in this visual here, you've got all this preference data, but it doesn't actually tell you what's going on tonight. It doesn't tell you how to support the individual in the situation that they find themselves in. You might be able to anticipate some things, but because it can't explain the situation, it's not smart enough to do genius level work. The last level is genius. And I love this example. This is something that I found from some research while I was researching the book. I came across this. It's a model for aviation safety security. And there are basically three levels. There's perception, seeing what's there, understanding the situation. There's comprehension, understanding what it means. And then there's projection, or anticipating what happens next. What genius does is all of the above. It's able to perceive the situation, something that SMART isn't able to do. It's able to comprehend and to project. So in this example, the navigation app did not wait to be opened. It read the calendar, it understood what was going on, and was able to tell the guy that he had a few more minutes. He had 40 more minutes that he could spend having breakfast with his wife. That's genius. That's great. Now, somebody's always going to ask me, but what about trust? Will they trust AI enough? The reason why people don't trust AI is the same reason they don't trust sharing data 15 years ago when we first started studying data sharing. It's because the data isn't being used for what the customer needs. You can capture everything into the context window, but if that data serves only the company's purposes, trust erodes and people stop sharing. People don't have to share their data. They need to get the tool to actually close the gap between their intentions and actions. That's why they keep sharing. But the return has to be felt. A customer who reads a privacy policy doesn't feel trust. A customer who gains 40 minutes on a Tuesday morning does. And that's the big difference. When we think about the dominant question that people are asking about AI today, it almost always is, what can AI do better than a person? Can it close my books better than my accountant? Probably not, honestly. But that's the wrong question. The real question is, what can people do because of AI? I still have a relationship with my accountant. Now the two of us have a tool between us, and both of us can do more because we have Claude. That's the opportunity. Closing the books is the task. My accountant and my money are the relationship that I'm building, and that's where human context really thrives.